And welcome back to The Lead. We're back with our Law and Justice Lead right now. The U.S. Secret Service will not seek any special accommodations for Donald Trump's court appearance in Miami on Tuesday, we're told. The federal courthouse there in the Sunshine State is preparing for its day in the sun as security for the arrest of a former president. Obviously no small undertaking. Federal and local law enforcement meeting today in Miami to try to figure out how this will all go down and the best way to go about doing it. CNN's Kara Scannell is in Miami for us. We're also joined by CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller and Marcos Jiménez, the former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. Kara, let me start with you. What do we know about the security preparations for Trump's historic court appearance leading up to Tuesday?
Well, Jake, I mean, we're still 4 days away, and there's no obvious increased security presence just yet outside the courthouse. You know, a law enforcement source did tell us that they did a threat assessment against the building and the surrounding areas this morning, and that they did not find any credible threats. We can expect that that will continue as we get closer to Tuesday. And as you said, the Secret Service says that they're not taking any special accommodations, but they will be in constant contact with their law enforcement partners. Now, the City of Miami Police Department also said that they will be working with federal and local and state authorities to ensure, and help them secure detours or road closures to make this a seamless process. And, we can learn a lot from how this was handled in New York just 2 months ago. The former president was indicted there, did show up for an arraignment, and at that arraignment, the streets were locked down. There was, a clear pathway for him. And interestingly, he was brought into the DA's office there, brought into the courthouse, and then exited really without being seen in the public eye. We can expect the same to happen here if the process follows its normal route. He will self-surrender to the U.S. Marshals here. This will all take place behind closed doors, likely in the courthouse just behind me. There are a couple of different courthouse structures here. But, in New York, we were able to see a brief video of Trump walking into the courtroom, and then still photographers were allowed to capture images of Trump sitting behind the defense table. Here in federal court, there are no cameras allowed of any kind. So it's possible this whole day we will never actually see the former president. We don't see him enter, we won't see him inside the courtroom, and we likely won't see him leave. So that is a distinction from what happened in New York just 2 months ago. But, these security preparations will continue through the weekend leading up till Tuesday, and we're waiting to learn exactly more details of what to expect. Jake?
A lot of opaqueness in the Sunshine State there. Marcos, a Donald Trump appointee has been initially assigned to oversee this case. Federal District Judge Eileen Cannon, her appointment of a third-party special master to review documents seized from Mar-a-Lago raised some eyebrows, and that decision was eventually overturned by a conservative panel of appeals court judges. What can you tell us about Judge Cannon and how you think she will rule on Trump's case?
Well, it's not clear to me that Judge Cannon will absolutely keep this case, but it's very likely that she will. Judge Cannon is one of our newest judges, if not the newest judge that we have in the district. She's assigned to Fort Pierce, which is the farthest city north. So we don't see much of her down here in Miami, where I'm located. But she's a former prosecutor, like I am. She's smart and she's capable. And despite what happened previously, I think she'll do a good job. And I think she'll do her best to follow the law and let the facts play out.
John Miller, how will these complicated law enforcement preparations for Mr. Trump's appearance at the courthouse Tuesday, how will that impact the way Trump's arrest will play out?
So that's complicated. You've got the Secret Service that will be with him, and they will be bringing him and transporting him. But then you have the FBI who takes him into custody. At that point, the Secret Service steps back because once he's arrested, he's property of the FBI. This is where the logistical stuff gets kind of fuzzy, because normally he'd go to the FBI office in Miami, which is pretty far away from the federal courthouse, and they would book him and fingerprint him and take his mugshots and then bring him to the courthouse. In this case, what they're talking about today is that going to be the way they do it, the regular way, or are they going to find a way to do a booking process at the courthouse so that they can get him into a conference room and then directly to the courtroom for the arraignment? All of this is the moving parts that have to go between Secret Service, FBI, the court, the United States Marshals. Once he's in the court and in front of the judge, the FBI steps back and either the court lets him go, which is likely, or he becomes the property of the U.S. Marshal and under their control. Highly unlikely, since it's anticipated he's going to be released. Outside, you've got the police piece. 1,100 cops in the city of Miami, 2,400 for the county of Metro-Dade. Probably Florida state troopers will all have to get together to figure out how to handle crowds, maybe demonstrators, and yes, press. That entrance for Trump and exit from the courthouse will likely be in vehicles, in the garage, up, back down, and out of the garage.
Interesting. And Marcos, there was some question as to whether or not this trial was going to take place in southern Florida or D.C. The alleged crimes took place, for the most part, in Florida, but there also is a possibility it would be in D.C. because of the obstruction charge potentially being able to be used here. How do you think the trial of a former Republican president in this venue, in a state that Trump won twice, be different?
Well, look, a lot of people are coming to Miami. Jack Smith is taking his talents now to South Beach, like Lionel Messi and many of our sports teams. But seriously, I think this trial is going to play out extremely well in our district. As I've said before, we have extremely good jurors who are level-headed. They follow the law. I've tried many cases in this district, and I've always been impressed with our jurors. They do their best, and they are, by and large, just really excellent. We have the best justice system in the world. There is nothing better than to have a jury of your peers, and it's interesting that the peers now are people who weren't former presidents, but Donald Trump is a private citizen. He will be tried by a jury of his peers. He will get a fair trial, and he will do as well as any other defendant in this district. I'm sure he will have excellent counsel. There are great criminal defense attorneys here. It'll be interesting to see who shows up on Tuesday to represent him. But I would expect that it's someone who is extremely accomplished and will do the best to present the president's case.
All right, Marcos Jime nez, John Miller, Kara Scannell, thanks to all of you. Appreciate it.